This is the Tech Phantom, and welcome to episode number 9 of the Chronicles of Conan in the land of Lordran. In the last episode, Conan managed to make his way to the depths, looking for the mystical second bell of awakening, which the crestfallen warrior had told him that he must ring in order to have an event happen that will allow him to proceed forward. Conan didn't know what that event could be, but he was looking for Tulsa Doom, and he would never stop in that search. He knew Chrome would not listen to him, but he pleaded with him once again. Chrome, you must grant me revenge. I will look for Tulsa Doom, and I will follow him, even into the depths of hell. And indeed, this place was similar to hell. He started to loot it, and he started to look for things that he could use. The place was swampy, and if he did not have his magical rusted iron ring, he wouldn't be able to traverse the swamp very quickly, and he would be easy prey for the giant mosquitoes and the fire-spewing crag spiders. He saw a shiny object off in the distance, and he continued towards it. It was a large soul of a proud knight. There was another body further ahead. It was that of another fallen warrior. Probably somebody whose blood had been sucked by the giant leeches which populated this place. The giant leeches gave Conan hope. They look like tiny versions of serpents, tiny versions of Set. That was Tulsa Doom's god and Tulsa Doom's creation. He hoped that the leeches were a sign that he was getting closer to Set and he was getting closer to Tulsa Doom. The leeches drop large titanite shards, which he could use to upgrade and improve the sharpness of his claymore. The leeches appeared to be completely at ease and familiar with the swamp, and easily wiggle and wriggle their way through it, looking for unsuspecting victims. The leeches did not have any eyes. They were just a mass of muscle with a giant mouth, ready to attack and attach themselves to any unsuspecting warrior or passerby and suck his bones dry. They apparently took their liquid and moisture from the swamp because they could spit a poisonous breath which was deadly. So not only was the swamp itself poisonous, but the leeches could poison you as well. Luckily for Conan, the leeches had to take a rest after they attacked because they exerted quite a bit of energy coiling up their muscles and springing forward. This was the opportunity that he needed to chop them down like cheese with his claymore. The leeches didn't have eyes, but they have good hearing. It was possible to sneak up on them from behind, but if you made much noise, they would turn around, sense you, and would attack you. Conan found a giant curved sword called a server. It was a good weapon. It was a weapon that was favored by those from the east. During his travels, Conan had learned how to fight with it, but nothing could compare to the ease with which he could wield the claymore. And as he continued to regain his original strength, and he sharpened the claymore and upgraded it, the claymore became stronger and stronger, and Conan became more familiar and more attached to his preferred weapon. Chrome, I thank you. You grant me favors today. Conan thanked Chrome, knowing that Chrome would not even care or listen or pay any heed to his thanks. But Chrome indeed had been very good to Conan. He had killed many leeches, and a great majority of them had dropped upgrade items that he can use on the claymore. There were a couple of leeches yet left in this area. They surrounded a body that had a green titanite shard. A green shard was a special kind of a shard that could be used to upgrade magical swords or fire swords. It can also be broken down into smaller shards, which he could use to upgrade equipment and normal items as well. After he had searched the entire swamp and killed off all of the leeches, Conan returned to the bonfire and set to tending his claymore. He used the large titanite shards to further improve its edge, and the claymore was almost at its 2/3 power. He needed a little bit more equipment, which he would hope that he would find shortly. He also decided to use the souls that he had looted off of the bodies that he had found. The Wizard of the Mount had told them that in this area there was a magical fire item that was protected by a very, very large monster. The way there was perilous, but it was an item that Conan wanted to find. It was a mystical item that the barbarians revered and that his father had told many tales to him about. This item could help him increase his strength at times of peril or when he needed to face very powerful enemies. So Conan went to look for it. The way was guarded by many crag spiders and by snipers that blew their dart guns that were loaded with toxic darts. One of them found its mark, and Conan felt not only poison, but he also felt an even stronger type of a toxin that lowered his vitality and lowered his life quite quickly. Luckily, he had heeded his mother's advice, and he had stocked on herbs prior to coming to this area. The herbs allowed him to relieve himself of both the toxin and the poison status ailments. The giant mosquitoes were a true nuisance. He attempted to hit one, and instead He missed and fell off the platforms, the wooden platforms, and he was lucky not to have killed himself. I hate mosquitoes. He decided the mosquitoes were not worth bothering with. He would ignore them and he would continue forward. The crag spiders singed his skin. When he had worked the forge at his father's shop, he had suffered many burns and he had developed thick scar tissue from the sparks that flew as he hammered metal into sword. But still, the burns from the crag spiders hurt and caused much pain to Conan. He proceeded forward and found a new type of an enemy. It was a hollow ghoul. It was an infested ghoul. Apparently the infested ghouls were the denizens of this area, and they had built the primitive walkways and the primitive platforms made out of wood. The infested ghouls were also cannibals. One of their favorite attacks was to jump at their unsuspecting prey and proceed to immediately bite large hunks of their skin, either their neck or their face. They were quite monstrous. Conan proceeded with care, and he found another body that he looted. He was looking for this magical fire item, and he hoped that his sixth sense, his barbarian sense of direction, will lead him there, even though he didn't really know where he was going. He found another sniper that was lying in ambush and quickly cut him down. Finally, he found a cave. This looked promising. It was guarded by infested ghouls. He was wary of them because they tended to gang up on him, so he was sure to look both in front and behind them to make sure that he wasn't flanked and he wasn't ambushed by them. Once he had cleared the path forward, he walked gingerly through the rickety walkways and climbed on the ladder. Here he found a parasitic wall hugger, which was guarding an item. The parasitic wall hugger's back was exposed, and Conan made quick work of the beast and finally found the item he had been searching for. It was a special pyromancy called Power Within. Power Within would allow Conan to call on the power of fire and increase his strength immensely at the cost of his life. He had heard about this item. It was a very dangerous item to use, but Conan's great vitality would allow him to use it. And who knows, the item might come in handy in this land full of monsters on his search for Tulsa Doom. He had explored the west side of the swamp, and he decided to explore the east side. He found a weird forest that was covered in webs. Inside he found a cave The cave was surrounded by gigantic spider eggs that were attached to the cave walls with sticky mucus and sticky spider web. He found a fog door and a summoning portal for the butcher. She was not a true warrior. She would not share in his adventures. Whatever lay ahead in front of this fog wall, Conan would fight it alone. As he proceeded through the fog gate, he entered a very large antechamber that had been carved out of the rock. Inside was a monstrous spider. Half of the body of the spider was that of the beast, and the other half was that of a very attractive and sexy witch. The witch smiled at him, almost a knowing smile. Conan tried to remember if he had ever met a witch like this in his travels. He thought hard, and he finally could remember that smile. When he had been a gladiator, one of his only pleasures was that afforded by women who wanted to come and lay with gladiators. On one such night, a witch had come to him in his cell. She had told him that she had foreseen the future, and she had heard the tale of a man of great strength that would come from the north and that would one day become king. And that one man would also crush the snakes. Obviously this witch knew about Tulsa Doom and the serpent god Set. In exchange for laying with her, she would tell him more about Set and tell him more about Tulsa Doom and where to find him. When Conan had first met her, she was in human form, but apparently this was her real form. During their encounter, the witch had turned into a vampire and had clutched at him, hoping to become impregnated by Conan. At the last second, Conan had pushed her off and thrown her into the fire. Her human form melted away, but the essence of the witch remained, and she flew away before Conan could kill her. Apparently she had flown here to the land of Lordran, and this was her true form. She was a half spider, half woman. She fought with rage with a fiery sword, and she can also spew massive gobs of lava from her mouth. After a fierce fight, Conan finally defeated her and claimed her soul. The witch will never have his seed. Conan proceeded out of the antechamber and found another bell. He quickly rang it. This was the second bell of awakening that had been hidden below. The bell pealed loudly throughout the lands. Upon hearing the ringing of the second bell, a giant had been trained to open up the massive door at Sen's fortress. So this is what the crestfallen warrior had meant when he said a special event will happen. And apparently there were giants in this land that Conan would have to deal with. Conan explored a bit of this area and found an illusory wall. Past it, he saw a poor creature that had eggs all over its body. Apparently he was a servant of the fair lady, whoever she might be. Conan was curious and lied to Ingi in order to meet this fair lady. He also rested at the bonfire to tend to his wounds from the fight with the witch. The fair lady turned out to be the sickly sister of the witch. She was a tender creature, unlike her sister, and she had actually helped some of the people here by sucking the poison out of their body. The poison had in return poisoned her, which is why she was pale and sickly looking. To pay her back for her generosity, Ingi and other hollows had become her servants and would help her carry her eggs and carry her offspring, even though the offspring was probably deceased, since the fair lady herself was sickly as she laid her eggs. Conan thought about the other places that he had been in his travels, and this is one of the more peculiar ones. It was full of fire, poison, and toxic dangers. It was full of ambushes, and it was very difficult to traverse. One misstep and you could fall off of the primitive walkways and platforms that were made out of wood. And on top of that, he had to deal with those shites-eating infested barbarians. He was done with this place. It was time to leave. He hurried back to the bonfire to rest. Cutting down a couple of crag spiders on the way. He had heard stories of a firekeeper soul in this area, so perhaps he should loot it before leaving this damn place once and for all. He decided the firekeeper soul would be worth it. The firekeeper soul could be given to a special bonfire keeper who can upgrade the Estus flasks to higher levels. The firekeeper souls could also be consumed to gain a large amount of humanity, which appeared to bring favor from the gods. Conan chuckled at this thought, since Chrome was a merciless god. But apparently even Chrome pay attention to his servants if they had a lot of humanity. He had seen a cave behind the windmills. The cave was guarded by flaming attack dogs and more toxic dart throwers. Hidden on one of the sideways, he found the Firekeeper soul, guarded by 2 flaming attack dogs. After looting it, he returned to the bonfire. Well, now he was truly done with this place. It was time to leave and hopefully never return to this poisonous swamp. Conan felt like he had new purpose now. He had rung the second bell, and the way forward had been revealed to him. Still, he needed more information about Tulsa Doom and Set. He had seen leeches. He had seen dragons. But he had yet to see snakes, giant snakes, of the type the Tulsa Doom revered and even considered his pets. He hoped he would find one soon. At least he knew where the cannibalistic followers of Set came from and how they became so strong. The female butchers were indeed formidable, and he was glad that he had killed one of the butchers in training. The world was better off for that. He finally made it out of the depths, out of Blighttown and into the Valley of the Drakes, and decided to return to the bonfire at Firelink Shrine. He had lost a lot of blood, and he was also poisoned. He would welcome a rest at the bonfire. In celebration of the victory over the Chaos Witch, he consumed her soul as a price. On the way to the bonfire, he saw the Firekeeper, and he made good use of the Firekeeper soul that he had found in Blighttown. His Estus flasks immediately grew in power, and he could recover more vitality from it now. Upon reaching Firelink Shrine, the crestfallen merchant sarcastically congratulated him. But he also talked about a creature that had appeared. Apparently a sleepy creature with very, very bad breath. The crestfallen warrior was not very fond of this creature and wanted to do something about it, whatever that was. This warrior was all talk and no action. He was all bark and no bite. When Conan didn't like somebody or didn't like a creature, he didn't hesitate. He didn't tell anybody about it. He just went and destroyed that creature. That was the barbarian way. He heard some chewing sounds, and as he proceeded forward, he was amazed to discover a giant serpent.
Ah, hello.
So,
Was it you
this
who
is
rang
where
the
the
bell
myth
of
of the
awakening?
god Set had come
I
from.
am the primordial serpent, King
And
Secret, close friend
this is
of
where
the
the
great
pets
Lord
of Tulsa Doom came from.
chosen undead, who has rung the
This
bell of
giant snake
awakening.
called himself
I wish
Frank,
to elucidate
a
your
Kingseeker
purpose.
Frampt.
Do you seek such enlightenment?
And strangely, he called Tulsa
Very well.
Doom Lord Win.
I am pleased to share.
So
Chosen
apparently in this
undead,
world, Tulsa
your
Doom's
fate
true name was
is
Lord
to
Win,
succeed the great
and
Lord
he had
Win, so that you
tricked
may
the
lick
snakes
the fire,
and
cast
manipulated them
away the dark,
when
and
the
undo
when the
curse of
serpents
the
had tried to
undead. To
manipulate
this end,
him.
you must visit Anor Londo
He had brought the
and
cult of
acquire
Set
the Lord Vessel.
when he came to the lands of Hyboria. But here Conan had found the true nature of that cult. So the god Set was nothing more than Tulsa Doom's myth and fiction. He had changed his name from Lord Wind to Tulsa Doom when he had come to Hyboria. When Conan decapitated him and defeated him, he returned back like a dog with a tail between his legs, back to his serpents. Conan now knew that he was in the right trail. He would look high and low for Tulsa Doom, this Lord Win. The the serpents had promised him a kingdom in exchange. That was fine. His main mission was to destroy Tulsa Doom.